Now, it's been a year since Donald Trump was elected President of the United States of America. From an initial travel ban to plans to ban transgender military personnel, Trump has caused plenty of controversy during his first 12 months. Well, joining me on the sofa to talk a bit more about this is PhD student in politics and government Rabekah Everett and Laura Garcia, lecturer at the Centre for Journalism. Thanks so much for joining me. So, Rabekah, first of all, what would you make of his time in office so far?
Oh gosh, within the first year or so, I think the general consensus is a lot of talk and not a lot of substance. You know, he came in with a lot of really big promises about making America great again, tackling some really big issues that Americans seem to be concerned about, and very little has actually been done on that so far.
And in terms of the controversy that kind of surrounds him all the time, does he seem to be losing power at all?
I would say a little bit, not necessarily completely. He still has, you know, amongst his base voters, he's still very popular. But, you know, there were state elections just yesterday, and there was kind of a new Democratic resurgence in New Jersey, Virginia, some swing states. And, you know, some people are starting to see that as a swing away from Trump, that he's starting to kind of lose that kind of grip on power.
And Laura, is this something we're seeing in other places as well, like Mexico, where you're from, that perceptions of Trump might be changing?
Yeah, Trump's presidency is a really funny case because historically American presidents have really high ratings in Mexico. We kind of look up to our northern brothers and to the office of the presidency. And this is the very first time that Trump's ratings are lower than our very own politicians and presidents, and we really don't like our own politicians. So it's kind of like a shift in opinion, and that is very realistically being translated in how many people go and shop across the border. I come from Nuevo León, which is just on the border with Texas, and a lot of people who would have just gone and do their normal shopping in Texas are not doing it anymore. And it's those little shifts that are starting to show how opinion is shifting a little bit away from this idealization of what the American presidency used to be like.
And obviously immigration control was one of his election pledges when he was brought into office. Do you think he'll ever get what he sort of promised to the people?
I think that's a two-sided question, because I'm not sure what he promised was actual action. What he promised was rage about it, or the way I see it, at least, in how he interacts with his base. And that rage will come out even if he doesn't get to do what he wants, and if he doesn't get to reform immigration law like he wants, because even more gives the voters a reason to be angry about it. I think he's going to keep pushing it, and he's going to find a really hard time pushing it through the different judicial processes in the US, because people are starting to fight back case by case.
And Rabekah, do you think there's a chance of him being elected again in the future?
Oh gosh, I really don't know. Like I said, you know, there seems to be a shift, kind of a backlash against Trump, and he did lose the popular vote by so many votes. It really depends on whether or not the Democrats can come up with a viable candidate. I would like to think that, you know, maybe if they just put up somebody who's kind of basically coherent and seems to know what they're doing, then that would be enough. But you never really know. Sometimes there needs to be a bit more momentum behind somebody, and because the Democrats haven't really put forward anyone yet, we don't. It's kind of too soon to say at this point.
Thanks to both of you for coming in.